Hi everybody, today I'm going to be doing a quick review of Memrise, which is a flashcard app, and several YouTubers have suggested over the past year or so that I do a review of this and tell you what I think about it, so that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to go ahead and get started in this. First thing, obviously, you're going to have to sign in. That's kind of what you have to do for any site of this nature, but once you have an account, you tell it what you want to learn, you tell you how serious you are about it, similar to what you would whenever you sign into Duolingo. And I think it's just a bit odd that you ask somebody who has never used your site before to rate how much they plan to use the site each day when they aren't yet aware of how the point system even works and how much actual time will be needed in order to get to a certain goal. But Duolingo does the same thing, so I'm just going to let that slide. Once you tell it your intentions, it asks you to pick a course. I went with the middle level because the lower levels usually just bore me to death on these kinds of sites. It then shows you a card and you can hear a native speaker pronounce the words.
Gesellschaftlich, gesellschaftlich.
Under each word there is an option to have it help you memorize the word. Some of these hints are actually helpful in that they tell you a bit about the origin of the word and they help you to start breaking apart words to understand their full meanings, which is an excellent skill in German since so many words are actually compounds made up of smaller words or word parts. Other hints are a little bit less helpful. They're geared towards those who learn through some goofy methodologies. I have several students who actually use a similar methodology, and I must admit that I would use similar goofiness in high school. This is effective, even if some teachers find it ridiculous. So those hints are there. After you've seen the words at least once as a flashcard, then you'll be given a couple of different choices in a multiple choice question. Then you'll have to translate the word from one language to the other. It repeats itself a lot and eventually starts adding in more words and then making you start typing the answers out as well. This is especially important as it's one thing to be able to recognize a German word, and it's entirely a different one to be able to spell one for yourself. As a one-word flashcard system, it plays out pretty well. I like the repetition, even if it does get on my nerves sometimes. I also like that you have to type your answers sometimes. I think you could use a picture or some kind of an image to go with this to reinforce the concept, but otherwise it seems like a solid way to supplement a more intense German study regimen. When I got bored of the basic vocabulary, I started looking around at some of the other lessons on Memrise. There are a ton of them. Some of them are very specific and others are pretty broad. There's even one that's actually the vocabulary from Duolingo's course, and somebody made a lesson for that. I knew that Katja from Deutsch für euch had a Memrise lesson made up from one of her viewers who put this together for her, so I thought it would be a good idea to check out hers. Each video is paired with a vocabulary lesson, which is a fantastic idea. There wasn't much of a point in doing the first several videos, so I skipped ahead and went on to one of the introductions. It helped me to appreciate the repetition and the typing answers a little bit more than just the one-word answers did, but it also came with some frustrations. Since she used two different ways to say my name is and what is your name, the flashcards had a little bit of trouble keeping the two separate. Even though my answer was technically correct, there was a correct version that went with a specific phrase, and I didn't pay enough attention to see the subtlety. Memrise also has an iPhone and Android app. Since I have an Android phone, I tested out that version, obviously. The app is essentially the same as the desktop version. You sign in, you choose your course, you see some new words, you review old ones, you have multiple choice, you have type in your answers, you hear the words each time that they're used and pronounced by a native speaker. The app works well at doing what the desktop version does, but on a smaller screen. That's kind of the point of every app that has a desktop version. Memrise does this well. So what do I really think? Personally, I think it's a bit boring. At the average setting, the lessons are paced way too slowly. I like the advanced level, but some people may find it a little bit overwhelming. I like the fact that you can adjust it to fit your own learning style and your own ability to retain vocabulary. I think the overall site design is very well done and it looks nice. However, the lack of images on the cards makes it a little bit less effective for me. I like to see what it is that I'm learning as I learn a new word. While I could imagine something each time that I learn a new word, it would just be simpler if the program would show me an image so that my brain can connect them automatically. Overall, I think the concept is pretty good. I just think that the vocabulary is a little bit hit or miss. Some of the vocabulary lists are just dumb. There is no reason I would ever need some of the words that are on these lists. Some of them are incredibly biased on what they think is important vocabulary. For example, I clicked on the basic German list and I found that the first set of words that you learn includes the phrase for ordering a glass of wine and a cup of coffee. Some of the vocabulary list is important, obviously, but I'm not sure ordering a glass of wine should be on the first ever German lesson. Write in the comments down below what you think the first phrase a person should learn when they start learning German. I personally would give Memrise like a 7 out of 10. It's a flashcard app. It gets bonus points for having native speakers, or at least the ones that I tried. It loses points for not having the images and just being generally kinda boring. There are non-boring ways to learn vocabulary, but sometimes the tried and true methods of flashcards can be very comforting to learners. If that's what you're into, then I'm sure Memrise has a list out there for you. And if not, you can make your own. I hope you enjoyed this review and let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Bye now.